It all started with an archaeological dig. Nobody thought breaking an ancient seal would end the world, but here we are. A strange red mist poured out and swallowed cities whole. It wasn't just some weather event, it was a global death sentence. Anyone caught in that fog didn't stand a chance. Most people just went crazy before their bodies gave out completely. But for the unlucky ones who didn't die, they turned into something far worse, monsters they call aberrants. Ren stands among the ruins, a shadow of who he used to be. His right arm has mutated into a jagged, glowing claw. Cities that once held millions were leveled in days. Wherever those things went, only rubble was left behind. The monsters didn't just destroy buildings, they hunted. Panic became the new normal as humanity was pushed to the brink. The military tried to fight back, launching everything they had, but even missiles weren't enough to stop the tide. Massive explosions rocked what was left of the skyline, as the war for survival turned the world into a furnace. Everything was buried under a thick layer of smoke and the ever-present red haze. Ren wanders the empty streets, screaming his sister's name into the silence. Xiaozu is all he has left, and she's gone. The local residents don't appreciate the noise. A pack of wolf aberrants circles in, their eyes glowing with hunger. Ren's eyes flash a dangerous red. He's not the victim anymore, he's the apex predator now. He lunges, his mutated claw tearing through the monsters like they were nothing but paper. One after another, the pack is shredded. Ren stands over the remains, red energy poolsing from his transformed limb. The fight is over as quickly as it started, leaving him alone in the graveyard of a city. He keeps moving through the debris, his breath heavy in the cold air. The transformation is taking its toll. His voice is cracking now, barely able to whisper her name. The weight of his grief is heavier than any battle. His footsteps echo through the hollowed-out buildings. Every corner he turns is just another reminder of what he's lost. Then he sees it, a small, ragged doll lying in the middle of the road. It looks just like the one Xiaozu used to carry. He drops to his knees, his focus entirely on the toy as the world around him fades away. Ren reaches out with those terrifying claws, desperate to touch anything that still connects him to his humanity. His human hand trembles as he reaches for it, the red mist swirling around him. Holding the doll tight, the monster slayer finally breaks down. In this ruined world, he's just a brother who failed to protect his sister. His scream for her name ripples through the broken buildings, but there's no answer. To understand how he got here, we have to look back 3 days. 3 days ago, the world was still normal, mostly. The news was calling the red mist a natural phenomenon and telling everyone to stay calm. Ren and his family were stuck in a massive traffic jam. The highway was a parking lot of people trying to escape or just get home. Ren sat in the back with Xiaozu, both of them exhausted from the wait. It seemed like just another annoying delay. Suddenly, a soldier starts screaming at them to clear the way immediately. The situation outside was changing fast. The military was moving in, blocking the roads. People were getting restless and the air felt different, heavy. Inside the car, Xiaozu clung to Ren, terrified by the commotion. Their father tried to keep his voice steady, promising it would be okay. Ren looked out at the sea of cars, sensing that okay was a long way off. Then the mist hit. It rolled over the highway like a thick, bloody blanket. Visibility dropped to 0 and the sirens started. A massive explosion tore through the line of cars ahead. The peaceful traffic jam instantly turned into a war zone. Ren's father gripped the wheel as the shockwave hit them. In the rearview mirror, he saw the world literally falling apart. Ren grabbed his sister and pulled her down, shielding her with his own body just as the windows shattered. Their car was tossed like a toy, flipping over and skidding across the asphalt before slamming into the guardrail. Dazed and bleeding, Ren scrambled to find his parents in the wreckage. The car was a cage of twisted metal. His father was pinned, his legs stuck under the dashboard. His mother was coughing, barely conscious as smoke filled the cabin. A roar shook the ground, louder than any explosion. Through the red fog, a nightmare appeared, a giant dragon-like monster. It was tearing through the military line like they were ants. People were running for their lives, but there was nowhere to hide. Ren's father realized they weren't all getting out. He looked Ren in the eye and yelled for him to take Xiaozu and run. This was the end for them. Ren kicks the door open, the metal groaning under the pressure. There's no time to think, only to act. He pulls Xiao Zhu from the wreckage, the red mist already beginning to sting their eyes. They have to move. Now. He tries to reach back for his parents, but his father shouts at him to keep going. The car is a death trap. In the distance, screams echo as the first wave of monsters starts their feast. The world they knew is gone. His mother looks at him with a heartbreaking smile, her eyes begging him to save his sister. It's the last time he'll see her face. His father tells him to be a man and take responsibility. The weight of an entire family's survival just landed on Ren's shoulders. A massive explosion rocks the highway, sending debris flying like shrapnel. The ground itself seems to be screaming. A wolf aberrant emerges from the smoke, its skeletal ribs showing and its eyes glowing with a primal red hunger. Ren and Xiao Zhu look back, paralyzed for a second as the scale of the nightmare finally sinks in. The monster's face is a twisted mask of death. It doesn't want territory, it just wants to kill. Ren grabs Xiao Zhu's hand and bolts. He can't help his parents anymore. He can only save what's left. A winged aberrant swoops from the sky, its massive talons shredding through cars like they were made of tin foil. A fighter jet loses control and slams into a skyscraper, turning the heart of the city into a pillar of fire. The red mist isn't just a gas, it's a trigger. Even the animals are turning into mindless killing machines. People are losing their minds, turning on each other as the mutation takes root in their brains. Total anarchy has arrived. Ren keeps his head down, dragging Xiao Zhu through the wreckage of their lives. He just needs to find cover. The sound of heavy paws on the asphalt tells him they're being hunted. That wolf isn't giving up. The wolf aberrant is right behind them, its hot breath mixing with the freezing mist. One trip and they're done. They duck into a supermarket and scramble behind the aisles. Ren claps a hand over his sister's mouth, praying for silence. The monster stalks through the store, its claws clicking rhythmically against the tile floor. It's close enough to touch. It passes their aisle, its shadow looming over them like a final judgment. Ren holds his breath until his lungs burn. The footsteps fade away. For the first time in an hour, they can finally let out a breath, but the silence doesn't feel safe. Suddenly, Xiao Zhu collapses, clutching her head and screaming in agony. Something is very wrong. Red, vein-like marks are crawling up her face. The mutation is starting, and it's tearing her apart from the inside. Ren stares in horror as his sister's skin begins to glow with that same sickly red light. He's powerless to stop it. He realizes it's the mist. They've been breathing it in this entire time, and now they're paying the price. He grabs a bottle of water and a rag from the shelf, his hands shaking so hard he can barely hold them. He wets the cloth and presses it to her face, hoping it'll act as a filter. It's a desperate move, but it's all he has. Suddenly, Ren's own eyes glow. A wave of searing heat surges through his veins, like his blood has turned to molten lead. He drops to his knees, his vision blurring as his own body begins to rewrite itself. The pain is beyond anything he's ever felt. Xiao Zhu asks what's wrong, but he forces a smile, lying through his teeth. He has to be the strong one even as he's falling apart. The heavy, wet sound of a predator's breathing returns. The wolf wasn't gone, it was just waiting for them to make a sound. It looms over the top of the shelf, its glowing eyes locked onto their hiding spot. They've been found. The monster bares its fangs, saliva dripping onto the floor. Xiao Zhu is too terrified to even scream. Ren pushes himself up, his eyes burning with a new, fierce light. "Run!" he yells, shoving his sister toward the exit. They bolt through the store, the wolf smashing through glass and metal behind them. They're heading right for the open street. But the outside isn't any safer. A massive winged aberrant lands right in front of the exit, blocking their only escape. Trapped between a wolf and a dragon, Ren looks around for any way out. The world is closing in. He pulls Xiao Zhu into a tight hug, shielding her from the horrors surrounding them. If this is it, he's not letting her go. The dragon-like monster from the highway towers over them, its roar shaking the very foundation of the city. It's a gathering of monsters, and they're caught right in the middle of it. Every direction leads to certain death. Xiao Zhu looks up at him, her eyes filled with tears and a terrifying realization. Are we really going to die here today? Ren pulls Za along, his eyes scanning for an exit as they move deeper into the ruins. Let's go back, he shouts, though he knows there's nothing to go back to. The wolf aberrant stalks between the aisles, its shadow looming over the wreckage. It's more dangerous out there, we have to try, Ren insists, his voice trembling with a mix of fear and desperation. Ren grips a makeshift club, his face hardening as he stares down the predator. Even if it looks ferocious, it's just a mad dog, he tells himself, trying to summon a courage he doesn't feel. The wolf lunges, its mass a blur of dark fur and bone-chilling intent. It crashes through a shelf, splinters of wood flying like shrapnel. The beast lets out a deafening roar, its fangs bared. Damn it, why is this dog so strong? Ren grunts, his muscles straining against the sheer force of the monster. The wolf snaps its jaws inches from his face. Ren uses every ounce of his strength just to keep the creature's teeth away from his throat. A sharp crack echoes as the wolf is suddenly struck. Ren looks up in surprise, his eyes wide as he sees his opening. Zoaza stands nearby, a small tool in her hands. Brother, are you okay? I'll help you, she cries out, her fear momentarily replaced by a fierce protective instinct. Ren can only nod. I'm fine, you did great. The wolf recovers instantly, its eyes glowing with a renewed predatory light. Watch out, Ren yells, lunging forward to shield his sister. Ren pushes her away, his only thought to get her to safety. Run, don't look back, he commands, staying behind to face the nightmare once again. Ren collapses to his knees, coughing up blood as a searing pain rips through his chest. The mutation is taking hold, and it's far more violent than he expected. Red veins pulse across his skin, glowing with an ominous light. Why now? He groans, fighting to keep his consciousness from slipping into the dark. The wolf aberrant is right on top of Ziozu. She falls back, her eyes wide with terror as the monster looms over her. Ah! She screams, helpless. Ren watches in a red haze of agony as the beast closes in. Ziozu! He bellows, a primal roar that doesn't sound human at all. A pillar of crimson energy erupts from Ren, the ground cracking under the pressure of his sudden, violent transformation. The wolf is knocked back by the sheer force. Ren stands tall, his silhouette framed by the red glow of his power. Anyone who dares hurt my little sister, he growls, his voice dripping with a newfound, monstrous authority. Will die, he lunges, his movements a blur of speed and raw aggression. The club in his hand is now a weapon of absolute destruction. He strikes the wolf with a series of brutal, precise blows. Die! Go to hell! He yells, his eyes burning with a vengeful fire. Ziozu can only watch, her voice a soft, worried brother. The wolf is defeated, but Ren doesn't stop, his mind lost in the crimson haze. Die! Die! He mutters. Ziozu rushes to him, grabbing his arm. Brother, what's wrong with you? Stop, don't do this. He slowly comes back to himself, the red glow fading from his eyes as he looks at her. I'm fine, he gasps, his body trembling from the exertion. I'm fine, please stop it. Ziozu begs, her tears falling freely. In the quiet moment that follows, Ren's mind flashes back to his parents in the car. Go, now, his mother had shouted, her face pale but determined. Act like a man and take responsibility. You're the big brother. Take good care of Ziozu. His father's final words echo in his ears, a heavy, sacred burden. He remembers them standing together, a picture of strength and love. You brat, your parents will take care of you no matter where we are, his father had joked, his eyes full of pride. Zio how, you and Ziozu must survive. The voices of his past merge with the present. Brother, brother, Ziozu's voice pulls him back from the edge of the abyss. What's wrong with you? Don't do this. Ren looks at her, a sad, knowing smile touching his lips. Ziozu, he whispers, realizing that he is truly all she has left now. Ziozu looks back at him, her expression a mix of relief and lingering fear. Brother, she says, her voice barely a whisper. She reaches out to him, her hand small and cold. Ren stands up, shaking off the last of the crimson haze. Sorry for making you worry, Tilda, he says, his voice returning to its normal, gentle tone. Brother, are you okay now? She asks, her eyes searching his. I'm not, he starts to say, but his words are cut short as a massive shadow falls over them. Through the broken window, the dragon-like aberrant looms, its eyes glowing with a malevolent light. The beast smashes through the wall, its sheer size dwarfing the room. "Danger!" Ren shouts, pulling Xiaozu close as the ceiling begins to collapse. The monster lets out a roar that shakes the very foundations of the building. It's a creature of nightmare, a fusion of flesh and scale that shouldn't exist. Ren grips his club again, his eyes narrowing as he stares down the giant. "You ugly bird!" he yells, his fear replaced by a desperate, protective rage. "Stay away from my little sister!" He lunges forward, his club striking the beast's snout with a resounding crack. The monster flinches, its eyes widening in surprise. Ren doesn't stop. He hits it again and again, his movements fueled by the strange, red energy pulsing through his veins. "Wait, this power, I can actually defeat them," he realizes, his hope beginning to spark. "Get lost." The monster is forced back, the dust and debris settling around them. "I don't know how, but I've definitely gotten stronger," Ren thinks, his breath coming in ragged gasps. He looks at the destruction he's caused, then back at Zuaza. "Zuaza, hide here first. I'll deal with those monsters," he says, his voice firm. "Brother, you alone." She starts to protest, her eyes wide with worry. "That big one's got us in its sights. I have to lure them away." Ren explains, his mind already racing ahead. He can't stay here, the whole city is a war zone. Zuaza clings to him, her voice trembling. "Brother, don't go. I'm scared you'll lose control again," she whispers, her fear for him just as great as her fear of the monsters. Ren places a hand on her head, a soft, reassuring gesture. "Don't worry, I won't lose it this time," he promises, his eyes meeting hers with a steady, calm light. "But," she says, her words trailing off as she looks at the chaos outside. He pulls her into one last tight hug. "Stay here and wait for me. I'll be back for you soon, okay?" he whispers against her hair. Then, without another word, he turns and heads back into the red mist, a lone warrior in a dying world. Xiaozu begs her brother to promise he'll come back safe. Ren gives her a small smile, promising he'll definitely return for her. Flashback to the ruins, Ren steps through a shattered building. He realizes that hunting monsters and absorbing their energy is the only way to get stronger. A massive, demonic creature looms over him. The beast roars right in his face. Ren stands his ground as a pack of wolf aberrants surrounds him. He swings his weapon, taking them on one by one. One of the wolves lunges, but he's ready for it. He catches the beast by the snout, struggling to hold it back. In a sudden burst of violence, he tears the creatures apart. His arm transforms into a jagged crimson claw, and he revels in the surge of power. A massive shadow falls over the city ruins. The red dragon aberrant arrives, a colossal nightmare in the sky. Ren looks at his mutated hand, terrified of what he's becoming. A missile streaks down from the sky, aimed right for the area. He yells for Xiaozu to stay back. A massive explosion rocks the street, blinding everything in white light. A military helicopter descends through the smoke. The soldiers see Ren's mutated arm and label him infected. They're leaving him behind. They grab Xiaozu instead, hauling her toward the transport. She's forced inside, her eyes full of terror. Ren reaches out with his monstrous claw, but it's too late. Xiaozu can only watch as her brother is left behind in the flames. She screams for him, but her voice is lost in the roar of the engines. Ren lets out a desperate cry as the chopper disappears into the clouds. The vision ends with his mutated claw engulfed in fire. Ren snaps awake, panting heavily against a cold stone wall. He wipes the sweat from his face. It's that same nightmare again. He looks at his bandaged arm, glad he's managed to keep his secret so far. Outside, the crimson spire pulses with an eerie light over the ruins. He recalls searching every refugee camp for half a year with no luck. That's why he joined the lowest ranks of the border patrol under an alias. In this world, only the military has the intel he needs to find his sister. The red stone city border outpost stands as a grim fortress against the mist. Ren, now using the name Yan Hao, rushes to start his shift. His captain greets him with a kick, screaming about him slacking off again. Ren apologizes and starts the long climb to the sentry post. Far in the distance, the mysterious crimson spire continues to bleed red mist. Humans are forced to huddle in these border zones, just trying to scrape by. Ren stares at the horizon, wondering if that dragon is still out there. The captain lights a cigarette, figuring the elite teams will handle the real trouble. The captain stares at the distant spire, wondering if even the legendary special response team could fail. His men joke about it, knowing that if the elites can't hold the line, a bunch of low-level grunts like them are doomed. Elsewhere, Song Rui stands atop a mountain of corpses, looking like a goddess of death in the storm. Ren watches from a distance, thinking about how this mist turns every living thing into a mindless, bloodthirsty beast. He notices the mist shifting and dispersing, which usually means something big is coming. His instincts scream at him. Something is charging through the haze at high speed. Back at the outpost, a soldier spots the change and shouts for the captain to look. The blood mist surges forward like a red tide, drowning the fortifications in seconds. Elite soldiers from the SRT sprint into the fray, moving with mechanical precision. The structures around them begin to crumble as the sheer weight of the mist hits. Seeing his men being slaughtered, the captain screams at the top of his lungs for a full retreat. It's a total bloodbath, with soldiers disappearing into the red clouds one by one. The red dragon aberrant makes its move, towering over the base like a god of destruction. Ren stands at the edge of a massive drop, watching the carnage with a cold gaze. He doesn't join the retreat. Instead, he leaps off the cliff and dives straight into the fight. Below, the dragon unleashes a beam of pure energy that melts through concrete and steel alike. Ren hits the ground and immediately shreds a monster, marking his first kill of the night. The dragon roars in the background, but Ren is focused on the smaller prey, his eyes glowing with power. He tears another creature in half, his crimson claw making short work of the beast's armor. As he kills, he absorbs the monster's energy, feeding the hunger of his mutation. He feels his strength growing with every soul he takes, reveling in the dark power. 3, 4, 5. He loses count as he carves a path through the monsters. He stands over the bodies, taunting the next wave to come and try their luck. But his hunt is interrupted by a high-energy shot that obliterates his next target from across the field. He turns to see Song Rui emerging from the smoke, her tactical rifle at the ready. The captain of the SRT looks down at him, her silver hair whipping in the wind. Ren panics. If an elite like her spots his mutated arm, his mission to find his sister ends right here. He struggles to force the crimson energy back, his arm burning as it regains its human shape. Song Rui coldly orders her team to sweep the ruins and leave absolutely nothing alive. Within seconds, Ren is surrounded by SRT operatives with their weapons trained on him. He throws his hands up, acting like a confused, unarmed rookie to avoid being shot. He sticks to his cover story, identifying himself as Yan Hao from the local patrol unit. The soldiers confirm the area is secure, but they aren't lowering their guns just yet. Song Rui walks closer, her eyes scanning the lone survivor for any signs of infection. She looms over him, her voice sharp as she asks why a soldier is standing in a war zone without a weapon. Song Rui orders all units to withdraw from the outpost as a blood-red mist sweeps through the area. Outside the restricted zone, guards make it clear that nobody gets in without Song Rui's permission. Inside a temporary tent, the sniper reviews the casualty report. They lost 37 men in the latest incident. Ren stands nearby, sweating as he wonders just how much she suspects about him. He's currently handcuffed to a chair, trying his best to look like a victim. Song Rui isn't buying his act. He was away from his post for 2 hours right before the blood fog riot started. Ren tries to bluff his way out of it, claiming he was just taking a nap in some nearby ruins. A patrolman from his squad chimes in, calling him a lazy brat who's always late for every mission. The guy won't shut up, and Ren's patience is starting to wear thin as he glares back. Song Rui ignores the bickering, thinking about how many problems this specific patrol team seems to have. Meanwhile, their captain is in the hospital, completely covered in bandages but stable for now. She looks at Ren's file again. He's a bottom-tier D rank who barely finished training a few months ago. Ren keeps up the cowardly persona, saying he was a track star in school and just ran when he saw the fog. Song Rui finds it hard to believe a coward like him would ever join the army in the first place. Ren's mind drifts back to the last 6 months he spent hunting for any sign of his sister, Zio Zhu. He survived by killing beasts and absorbing their energy, eventually learning how to hide his monstrous mutation. He spent half a year living like a lone wolf, scouring ruins and human settlements for information. Song Rui walks toward him, calling him out for abandoning his post and withholding vital intel. She stands over him, asking if he realizes that desertion is a crime punishable by execution. She leans in closer, noticing something off about the way he's holding his hands. She demands to know his real objective, but Ren is distracted by a sudden vibration in the floor. A massive tremor shakes the entire tent, sending dust falling from the ceiling. Song Rui assumes it's an earthquake, but Ren recognizes this specific type of rumbling. He realizes a massive swarm of beasts is approaching and yells for everyone to run. Song Rui thinks he's just using the chaos as an excuse to make a break for it. She slams him onto the floor to keep him pinned down, ignoring his warnings. Her timing couldn't be worse as massive cracks begin to web out across the ground. The floor completely collapses, sending the entire group falling into the abyss. They land in a massive underground cavern, the air thick with dust and the smell of beasts. Ren pulls himself up from the rubble, still hindered by the handcuffs. Song Rui quickly recovers and orders the soldiers to get their lights and weapons ready. The patrolman immediately starts complaining, blaming Ren for the bad luck they're having. Someone flicks on a high-intensity flare, casting a harsh light over the cave walls. They find themselves at the entrance of a massive, winding maze dug out by the beasts. Song Rui picks up her rifle and checks her gear, staying focused on the immediate threat. She orders everyone to stay calm and maintain their formation so they don't get ambushed. A sudden draft of wind whistles through the dark tunnels ahead of them. Ren's sharp senses pick up the sound of moving air instantly. He tells them there's wind coming from one of the paths, which might lead to an exit. The patrolman mocks him, saying his only real talent is finding ways to escape. The guy is too busy laughing to notice the massive beetle beast creeping up right behind him. A high-powered shot rings out, blowing the creature's head off before it can land a hit. Song Rui warns the squad that the beetle's body fluids are highly corrosive. She orders the patrolman not to act without her command, as a green puddle sizzles on the floor. Song Rui notes that Ren is remarkably good at avoiding danger. Ren stays silent, sweating as he wonders what her true goal is. A strange skittering sound echoes through the cavern. Something is definitely coming. A pair of massive beetle beasts emerge from the darkness, their eyes glowing red. More bugs pour into the area. The squad realizes they're in serious trouble. The swarm is huge, surrounding the soldiers from all sides. A patrolman opens fire, his bullets sparking off the bugs' thick armor. They start a fighting retreat through the maze, desperate to put some distance between them and the swarm. Song Rui finally calls for a halt once they've reached a wider cavern. The swarm seems to have stopped, but the silence feels even more dangerous. They look up and see a massive opening in the tunnel walls. An Overlord-class burst-thorn bug is perched there, actively absorbing the red fog. It's converting the fog into pure energy, charging up a lethal attack. Ren yells for everyone to be careful as the creature prepares to fire. Song Rui takes a desperate shot, her purple energy bolt flying toward the monster's mouth. The beast unleashes a massive, concentrated beam of red energy. The two energy attacks collide, lighting up the entire cavern. The burst-thorn bug's beam easily overpowers the sniper's shot and keeps coming. Song Rui stares in horror as the red light fills her vision. Ren leaps in front of her, blocking the blast with his massive crimson claw. Song Rui is speechless as she realizes the rookie just saved her life. Ren tells her he'll explain everything later, but for now, they need to survive. Song Rui realizes her own attacks are useless against this thing. Ren gives her a small, confident smirk as he prepares to go all out. He lunges at the Overlord-class beast, his crimson arm crackling with power. He notes its classification and wonders how much stronger he'll become if he absorbs it. He delivers a crushing blow to the monster's shell, causing the air to ripple. The creature skids back, but it's far from finished. Ren realizes this beast is on a completely different level than anything he's fought before. Its massive size makes it as tough as an armored vehicle, absorbing his best hits. The beast counterattacks, slamming its horn into the ground where Ren was standing. Ren dodges effortlessly, noticing that the creature's massive defense comes at the cost of speed. He prepares another strike, his eyes glowing with a predatory red light. The soldiers can only watch in disbelief, wondering if they're actually seeing this. Ren moves like a blur, his speed completely contradicting his earlier cowardly act. The patrolman is completely bewildered, asking who or what Ren really is. Song Rui provides a cover story, claiming Ren is a secret combat experimental subject. The patrolman is skeptical, unable to believe a track star rookie is a government super soldier. Song Rui lies effortlessly, telling them she only just confirmed his true identity. Adjutant Lin Yangzhai watches silently, wondering if Song Rui is hiding the truth about Ren. Song Rui claims that Ren escaped from a high-security laboratory and infiltrated the border patrol team. The patrolman assumes Ren caused the red fog outbreak, and Song Rui plays along, saying she had to investigate him. Song Rui strictly orders the patrolman never to reveal anything he's seen or heard, calling it a top-tier secret. Deep within the cave, the Overlord-class burst-thorn bug lets out a primal roar, its eyes glowing with malice. The massive beast unleashes a concentrated sphere of red energy, aimed directly at the fleeing soldiers. Ren leaps through the smoke, shouting for everyone to watch out as the lethal energy approaches. A panicked voice yells for the others to get out of the way, as the red sphere fills the entire tunnel. The energy blast hits the ground with a deafening boom, sending shards of stone and dust everywhere. Song Rui remains vigilant amidst the chaos, her hair fluttering as she prepares her next move. The unnamed patrolman lies stunned in the rubble, barely able to believe that he's still breathing. He looks over and sees his superior, Adjutant Lin Yangzhai, collapsed with a severe injury to his leg. Lin Yangzhai stoically accepts his fate, telling the patrolman that losing a leg is a small price to pay for saving a life. He explains that his true mission as a soldier isn't just killing monsters, but protecting humanity. The patrolman is left speechless by Lin Yangzhai's nobility, as the adjutant declares his role as a shield for mankind. Multiple shockwaves ripple through the cavern as the ferocious battle continues to escalate. Ren's strength fails him, and his monstrous arm reverts to human form as his energy reserves are depleted. He realizes that taking down an Overlord-class beast is going to be far more difficult than he imagined. The burst-thorn bug lunges forward with its massive blades, intent on finishing off the exhausted protagonist. A sudden bolt of purple lightning strikes the monster, interrupting its lethal follow-up attack. Surprised by the sudden support, Ren looks back and sees Song Rui standing her ground. Song Rui screams at Ren to stay alive, telling him he has far too much to explain to die here. The sniper's high-voltage rounds spark against the beast's armor, keeping it at bay for a few more seconds. Song Rui's blood runs cold as she hears a distorted, mocking laughter coming from the creature's maw. The monster begins to siphon massive amounts of red fog from the caves, replenishing its spent energy. To their horror, the cracks in the bug's carapace begin to seal up as it undergoes rapid regeneration. Song Rui realizes this beast is the source of the outpost's fog surge and is becoming more dangerous by the second. Song Rui urges Ren to retreat, but he refuses, declaring that the monster must die today. Ren's eyes glow with a fierce red light as he prepares to use the monster's own red fog against it. Song Rui warns him that if their final gambit fails, there will be no coming back for either of them. Ren remains undeterred, stating that he's survived the brink of death so many times that it no longer scares him. Respecting his determination, Song Rui tells him they only have one chance to coordinate their final strike. She charges her rifle to its absolute limit, planning to shatter the armored plating on the beast's head. The scope settles on the target, pinpointing the precise location where the carapace is thinnest. Song Rui fires a massive beam of electric energy, just as Ren lunges forward with all his might. The combined force of their attacks successfully shatters the beast's head, exposing its vulnerable brain. Without hesitation, Ren drives his rejuvenated crimson claw deep into the creature's exposed skull. He delivers a finishing blow with a guttural scream, determined to end the monster's reign of terror. A fountain of green blood erupts from the wound, drenching the cavern as the beast lets out a final shriek. The burstthorn bug's body cracks and glows with green energy as it finally reaches its breaking point. Song Rui watches in suspense, hoping that this desperate plan was enough to kill the Overlord-class beast. A massive explosion of green ichor and energy throws Ren backward, sending him spinning through the air. Song Rui desperately calls out for Ren as she runs toward the site of the explosion, hoping he's still alive. Song Rui reaches Ren's side as he lies motionless on the ground, calling out his alias Yan Hao in a panic. As she checks for signs of life, she notices a small, rectangular object clutched tightly in his hand. Song Rui carefully retrieves the item, discovering it's a photograph that Ren was protecting even in his unconscious state. Deep in the center of his palm, a sharp, dark crystal shard begins to pulse with a faint, ominous light. Ren finds his consciousness drifting in a vast void, surrounded by glowing, DNA-like structures that hum with primordial energy. Floating in this strange mental space, Ren realizes that his biological makeup has completely transformed into something akin to a beast. He stares at the flashing double helix structures, wondering about the nature of this biological data swirling around him. A dark crystal suddenly embeds itself into his chest within this void, and Ren realizes he can finally control his spiritual form. Ren feels a strange, heavy sensation emanating from his chest, a power that feels both alien and familiar. He recognizes the shard as an energy form similar to the one found inside the behemoth-class beast he encountered previously. To his surprise, the crystal begins to rapidly siphon the surrounding red fog energy from the mental void into itself. Ren realizes this crystal acts as a falsuff, storing excess red fog to prevent him from losing his sanity during future transformations. With this new core, he understands he can absorb the power of other beasts to evolve and grow stronger without reservation. However, a sudden realization hits him. The newborn crystal has a limited storage capacity and is already nearing its limit. Ren watches with growing dread as the energy within the shard reaches a critical, unstable point that threatens to burst. Knowing he has no other choice, he decides to gather all the chaotic red fog together to try and stabilize the core. Sometime later, Ren is shown lying in a quiet hospital bed, still unconscious and recovering from the battle in the cavern. Suddenly, his eyes snap open, glowing with an intense, unnatural red light as the dormant energy within him surges once more. Ren sits up abruptly, his hands crackling with uncontrolled crimson energy as he commands the power to gather. Song Rui enters the hospital room and is stunned to see Ren awake and surrounded by a swirling vortex of red mist. Song Rui cries out in alarm at the sight, but Ren, struggling to contain the volatile power, warns her to get back immediately. A massive pillar of red energy erupts from the hospital building, shattering the windows and lighting up the night sky. 5 minutes earlier at Tianlin Hospital, a soldier salutes Captain Song Rui, clearly feeling guilty about Adjutant Lin's lost leg, but she tells him he doesn't need to shoulder that blame. Inside the ward, Lin Yongjai asks her what the deal is with Yan Hao. Song Rui tells him the case is top secret, and he should just focus on getting better. She's already arranged for his transfer to logistics, so he can finally get some rest. Before leaving, she mentions she'll be reporting everything truthfully to her father, the chief of staff. Out in the hall, she freezes Lin's communication access and tells him to stay put. She asks the guard where Yan Hao is being held and heads for Ward 314. They arrive at the door. She orders the soldier to stand guard and make sure absolutely no one enters without her say-so. As she slides the door open, a violent energy starts leaking out from the room. Inside, Yan Hao is desperately trying to contain a mass of swirling red power in his hand. He screams for her to get back as the power goes completely out of control. Song Rui dives for cover as a massive wave of energy detonates. The red beam rips through the hospital wall, nearly catching the guard in the crossfire. It blasts across the city skyline, punching a hole straight through a distant skyscraper. Lin Yangjai watches the smoke rising from across the city, wondering if that was Yan Hao's doing. The guard on the floor just counts his lucky stars he's still breathing. Song Rui stares at the destruction, realizing Yan Hao just used a monster's ability with zero equipment. She demands an explanation for what she just witnessed. They take the conversation to the rooftop for some privacy. She puts the pieces together. He doesn't just use beast cores, he absorbs their actual abilities. Yan Hao adds that he can store massive amounts of energy, and his mutation even self-repairs. She smirks, nodding he's got quite a few interesting features. He looks at his monstrous claw, worried he might eventually turn into one of those things. He asks her straight up what she sees when she looks at him, a man or a monster. She tells him it depends entirely on how he chooses to use that power. As she steps closer, she makes it clear his strength is both a weapon and a potential disaster. Song Rui gives him two paths: join her elite Blazing Blood squad, or be labeled a threat and eliminated like any other monster. Yan Hao repeats the word eliminated like it's a joke. He gestures toward the hole he just punched in the city, asking if she really thinks her troops can do anything to stop him. She warns him not to get cocky, promising that joining her will give him access to status, intel, and resources. He wonders why she's willing to take the trouble of recruiting an uncontrollable element like him. He knows there has to be another motive behind all this effort. She admits she needs him, but insists they don't have to be enemies. Her tone shifts as she suggests they look at it more like a deal. She pulls out an envelope and hands it over, catching him completely off guard. Inside is a photo of him and his sister, Zyro Zhu, from a much happier time. She tells him not to underestimate her. Digging into his past was easy work. If he joins the squad, she'll use the military's highest-level network to help him find his sister. Yan Hao realizes she's right. Climbing the ranks is the only way he'll ever see her again. Deal, Yan Hao says, holding onto that photo of his sister like his life depends on it. Since she needs him so much, he figures a little raise shouldn't be a problem, considering he's broke from searching for his sister. Song Rui doesn't miss a beat, officially approving him as a Blazing Blood reserve soldier with the highest standard salary and benefits. She tells him to get moving on the paperwork, and he heads off to handle the transfer right away. He stops for a second, realizing something's missing. She mentions she covered the bill for all that hospital damage he caused, but she's definitely deducting it from his first paycheck. As he walks off, she watches him with a serious look, her intuition telling her he's something special. He mumbles to himself about having to pay up after all. But in his head, he's thinking about how Song Rui might be his only key to turning back from a beast into a human. Back at the Redstone City Patrol Team Garrison, things are already looking tense as a vehicle pulls up. Yan Hao bumps into one of the patrolmen, who's surprised to see him heading to the Special Response Unit. The guy is thrilled that both the captain and adjutant think so highly of him, even if he's technically joining logistics. Yan Hao just stares at him, realizing he never actually bothered to learn this guy's name. The guy points out that Captain Jia is back and doing okay. But as Yan Hao looks over, he sees a crowd gathered. It's Zhang Shi, the captain of the city guard, and he's busy mocking a heavily bandaged Captain Jia. He calls Jia a stray dog for begging for a pension, and kicks the crutch right out from under him. The other patrolman can't take it and lunges at the scumbags. It doesn't go well. Zhang Shi's goons pin him to the ground immediately. Zhang Shi grabs Jia by the face, demanding he get on his knees and lick the mud off his boots. He even threatens to break the patrolman's arm just to give Jia a new crutch to lean on. Jia grinds his teeth, forced to take the humiliation while his team is held down. Suddenly, a blur of movement cuts through the tension. Yan Hao catches Jia before he can hit the ground, telling him there's absolutely no need to kneel. He says it's finally his turn to return the favor for all the help Jia gave him before. Then he turns to the city guard, promising to rip out the bones of anyone who dares touch a single hair on the captain's head. The goons just look at him like he's lost his mind. They charge in with batons, screaming that he's looking to die. Yan Hao doesn't even flinch, his eyes locking onto his targets. 1, he delivers a clean kick that sends the first guy reeling. 2, he spins and plants a heavy blow on the next goon. 3, he ducks low and takes out a third guy's legs. 4, he finishes the combo with a strike that packs some serious heat. The last guy is sent flying back, slamming hard into the concrete wall. In exactly 4 seconds, the entire squad is face down on the pavement. Zhang Shi is stunned, wondering how a kid like this could be that fast. Panic sets in and he draws his pistol, calling Yan Hao patrol team trash. Yan He just smiles, telling him he believes the threat. But before Zhang Shi can even pull the trigger, Yan He's hand is already on the weapon. With a single squeeze, he crushes the metal frame like it's made of cheap plastic. He drops the mangled scraps of the gun, nodding that Zhang Shi isn't even 1% as fast as Song Rui. Zhang Shi loses it and pulls a knife, lunging at him with a desperate scream. Yan Hao catches the man's arm mid-lunge, his grip like a steel trap. He hoists Zhang Shi up by the throat, asking if he still wants to see someone kneel. Terrified, Zhang Shi can barely choke out a warning as cold sweat beads on his forehead. Yan He isn't interested in warnings. His gaze is icy as he decides the fight is over. With a brutal slam, he drives Zhang Shi's head straight into the pavement. The impact leaves Zhang Shi unconscious in a web of cracked concrete and rising dust. The crowd is stunned, unable to believe a logistics kid just dodged bullets and dismantled a squad. Yan Hao checks his arm, surprised himself by the sheer power flowing from the Beast Core enhancement. The remaining goons scramble away in terror, leaving Yan Hao to pick up his captain's crutches. The unnamed patrolman is starstruck, calling Yan Hao a literal god of war as he hands back the equipment. Captain Zhou is grateful, though Yan He insists he's just paying back the man who always looked out for him. Despite the win, Jia worries that the city guard won't let this humiliation slide. Yan Hao just smiles, assuring them that nobody touches the Special Response Unit's team. Shortly after, they arrive at the Rudston City temporary base of the Special Response Unit. Yan Hao meets Song Rui in her office, having already fast-tracked his application to the higher-ups. Yan Hao checks the tablet, impressed by how fast she gets things done. He asks if this makes him official, but she quickly sets him straight. To join the elite, Blazing Blood Combat Division, he has to pass the entrance exam in Lake City. She's confident in his strength, but Yan He is already planning to shatter every record they have. Soon, a convoy of military vehicles is rolling toward the capital. The heavy trucks roar down the highway, carrying the next generation of potential warriors. Inside the transport, Song Rui explains that Lake City isn't just the capital, it's the heart of the Blazing Blood operations. Yan Hao asks about the ranking system, curious how they determine who stands at the top. The unnamed patrolman laughs it off, bragging that he's at least tough enough to take a beating. Song Rui reminds him that since he's only in logistics, he won't even be taking the combat assessment. The patrolman tries to play it cool, telling Yan Hao he'll have his back once they're in the field. She starts the briefing, explaining that warriors are the rare few who can tap into special abilities. Their combat power is split into 6 distinct ranks, from the lowly E to the legendary S rank. The beasts they face are also categorized, starting with the basic Scout and Hound classes. Higher up are the Overlord, Behemoth, and the city-destroying Calamity classes. In simple terms, an E-rank warrior is expected to handle a Scout-class beast on their own. It scales up from there, with S-rank warriors being the only ones capable of stopping a Calamity. But raw strength isn't everything. The rank also depends on how well a human can bond with a beast core. Mutated beasts have natural powers, so humans use specialized armaments to channel those same abilities. Factors like physical constitution and pure luck determine how many abilities a person can handle. Without a proper bond, a warrior is stuck at E-rank forever, but her explanation is cut short by a sudden stop. A guard blocks their path, ordering the convoy to detour due to traffic control on the main street. Song Rui is fuming, reminding him that the Special Response Unit doesn't wait for traffic detours. As they argue, a sleek car bearing the logo of the Green Vine Group slides past the roadblock. Seeing the corporate giants involved, Song Rui realizes there might be more to this exam than she thought. An hour later, they finally reach the massive hangar serving as the Blazing Blood entrance exam site. Chief Proctor Lun Youngsun stands before the recruits, making it clear that status means nothing once the test begins. Chief Proctor Lin Youngsun addresses the room of recruits, his gaze sharp and uncompromising as he warns that any attempt to pull strings will be met with immediate expulsion. He commands the group to begin the first stage of the Blazing Blood entrance exam, a rigorous physical fitness assessment. The first event is a 100-meter dash while carrying a 50 kg weight, and Yun He tears down the track, finishing in a blistering 5.1 seconds. The next test involves electromagnetic force-enhanced dumbbells, and the other recruits struggle just to lift the massive weights. Yun He casually hoists a 500 kg dumbbell over his head with a single hand, leaving the surrounding crowd in a state of absolute shock. Moving to the striking power test, he focuses his strength into a single, devastating punch that rocks the entire testing machine. The machine sparks and whines before displaying an error message. Yan Hao's power was so great it exceeded the device's calculation limits. 10 minutes later, Yan Hao stands calmly before the chief proctor, reporting that he has successfully completed all the assigned items. Lin Youngsun consults his tablet and confirms a final score of 198 points, his expression unreadable despite the incredible result. The news ripples through the room, as the other recruits realize the previous rookie record was only 140 points. Many immediately suspect foul play. One particular recruit remains skeptical, unable to wrap his head around how a new applicant could shatter the standing record by such a wide margin. Zhang Jin, the younger brother of the Redstone City Guard captain, steps forward and loudly declares that he refuses to believe the results. Lin Youngsun shuts down the protest immediately, stating that he personally supervised the test and that every second is backed by video surveillance. Caught in a blatant lie, Zhang Jin quickly backs down with a forced smile, claiming he was merely curious about the exceptional performance. Zhang Jin walks up to Yan Hao and identifies him as a member of the Redstone City patrol team, feigning a friendly greeting between fellow townsmen. His internal thoughts are far from friendly, however. He's already plotting to make Yan Hao pay for the humiliation his brother suffered at his hands. A quick flashback shows Yan Hao overpowering Zhang Jin's brother in the rain, a defeat that has clearly left a deep scar on the family's pride. Yan Hao watches him walk away, unimpressed by the false camaraderie and already sensing the underlying hostility. Lin Youngsun warns Yan Hao that Zhang Jin is a privileged son of the Redstone City Guard and asks if there's any history between them. Yan Hao dismisses the concern with a cold smile, nodding that the entire city guard seems to be rotten to the core. The chief proctor begins announcing the official standings for the physical fitness test, calling out the names and scores of the top performers. He confirms that Jin Wying took second place with 135 points, but the undisputed first place belongs to Yan Hao with his staggering 198. Jin Wying, a senior researcher from the Technical Intelligence Bureau, finds the situation fascinating and resolves to study this powerful rookie more closely. Lin Youngsun announces that only the top 15 candidates will move on to the next phase of the exam, the Beast Core compatibility test.